Hey, it's Anna, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing part 2 of my September haul. So, I have, I don't know, half a dozen books to talk about, so let's just dive right in. First up I have The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. It's YA horror historical fiction. It is a retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. In this book, our main character is Elizabeth Lavenza. Basically, her parents die. She's put into the care of this awful woman, and when she's a little bit older, Mrs. Frankenstein, I believe, comes to offer her a home, essentially, in exchange for being friends with her lonely, weird, friendless son, Victor. So Elizabeth is pretty determined to, you know, grab hold of this new life that's being offered to her. You know, a warm place to sleep, a roof over her head, food, all that sort of stuff. And so she does her best to make herself indispensable to Victor, and as time goes by she spends pretty much all her time with Victor, and she has to try and calm him down when he goes into rages, and basically she's at his beck and call, and she entertains his every whim, no matter how dangerous. So it's a very dark sort of retelling, which is pretty interesting to me, actually, especially in YA. So I'm really looking forward to reading it. The next book is The Book of Unwinding by J.D. Horn. It is the second book in the Witches of New Orleans trilogy, I think. It's urban fantasy. Basically, magic is disappearing, and our main character, whose name I can't remember, sort of starts looking into disappearances of people in occult circles, and she finds that they are somehow linked to her family. And yeah, so I can't tell you much else about it because I haven't read either book yet. So the next book is Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop. This is a fantasy. It's fairly old. It's like 20 or 30 years old now, but it's a classic. It is the first book in the Black Jewels series, which has like a million books by the looks of it. So there's this prophecy in the Dark Kingdom of the coming of a new queen, a powerful witch, and basically there are a couple different factions, enemies, whatever, and whoever controls or has influence over this new young queen will basically have the ultimate power in their hands. So there's lots of political intrigue and that sort of stuff. I'm also led to believe the magic system is fairly interesting in this one, so I don't know much about it. I kind of just want to be surprised. Alright, so the next book, All Systems Red by Martha Wells. It's a sci-fi novella. It is the first book in the Murderbot Diaries. So it's set in a corporate-dominated spacefaring future where the company hands out or sells like permission for planetary exploration, mining, all that sort of stuff. And as part of that deal, they also supply security units, which are sort of robot human constructs. Like, they're mostly robot with sort of organic bits. And our main character, the self-styled Murderbot, is a security unit who has hacked its own governor module, so it has free will. It doesn't have to obey orders. All it really wants to do is watch downloaded media and not interact with humans as much as possible. So yeah, the story is basically about one particular assignment where everything starts to go very, very wrong, and Murderbot has to protect its humans from death, basically. Next book, Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. It is YA fantasy. It is the first book. I think it's a trilogy, but I'm not sure. It is about a girl called Caledonia Styx. She is the captain of an all-female crew. They are intent on killing their enemy, Arik Athair, who has basically numerous crews of boys that he has abducted as children, and they've gone and killed most of these girls' families, and yeah, it's all very not nice. I think the story revolves around Caledonia and a boy who was part of Arik Athair's crew, who says that he wants to defect and join her crew, and she has to decide whether or not to trust him, especially considering that he injured her first mate / best friend. So, piratey hijinks on the high seas. Woo. And revenge. Don't forget that. The next book is The Diviners by Libba Bray. It is a YA historical fantasy, mystery, all of that. It's got everything, apparently. It's the first book in a quartet, I believe. It is about a girl called Evie. She has this ability to, like, I suppose the word, like, glean information from objects. So she can, you know, see, like, visions of secrets and whatnot. And she uses this ability at a party. It gets her in trouble, and her parents ship her off to New York. Her parents ship her off to New York to stay with her uncle, who is obsessed with occult magic, and I think he owns an occult museum, because why not? So, you know, when she gets there, her uncle is invited to help with a murder investigation for some reason, and it occurs to Evie that perhaps she could use her gift to help solve this murder. Doesn't quite go as she planned. Things get kind of dangerous, and yeah, so mystery and danger and a supernatural ability. Woo. Yep. Moving on to the next book. If I can find it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay, Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. It is the second book in the Murderbot diaries, so it's a sci-fi novella. follows the continuing story of Murderbot, who is trying to find out what happened to it in the past. It has had like a complete memory wipe, so it only has very vague details about a particular incident. And yeah, I can't really go into it much more, so we'll move on. The next book is Rogue Protocol, also by Martha Wells. It is the third book in the Murderbot Diaries. This one I don't actually know what it's about, just the continuing story, so we'll stick with that. Alright, so the last book I want to talk about today is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. It is the first book in the Founders series. At the moment we don't know how many books there are going to be, so yeah, your guess is as good as mine. It is fantasy. It is set in a world where magic is sort of industrialized. The merchant houses have used magic to basically keep the wheels of capitalism rolling, I guess. It's a society where there are great inequities between the rich and the poor, and our main character, Sanchia, is a thief, and she is hired to steal a powerful magical artifact, which I think is the source of all the magic. Oh no. And it becomes pretty clear that someone very powerful wants to get their hands on it, and they want Sanchia dead, which is a bit problematic for Sanchia. So yeah, we've got a lot of sort of political intrigue and whatnot. Sanchia has to explore her own magical gifts, which are a bit unclear at this point. So what I'm really interested in with this book is the magic system. Basically, they use coded commands to imbue everyday objects with sentience. So I think a really early example, like in the first sort of few pages, is like wheels of a carriage. They put these scribings on it, and they basically convince the wheels that they're on a hill, and therefore they have to roll, and so you can get the carriage to move because the wheels think it's going downhill, so the wheels move on the flat surface. It sounds really, really cool. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to find out if it's really well written and if it's convincing and all that sort of stuff. So that's it for my 2nd September wrap up, and you know, if you've read any of these books or have any thoughts, feel free to leave a comment below. If you liked my video, give me a thumbs up, and otherwise thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.